Which is better, the Google Pixel 6a or the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G? Well, in this video, we're going to find out. Now, the Pixel 6a was launched very recently in July of 2022, and the Galaxy A73 5G was launched several months prior in April of 2022. Now, both of these phones are considered to be mid-range devices, and availability really depends on what region you're in. So definitely check out the various links in the video description to see availability and also what prices these phones are currently being offered at, because it's certainly possible that since I made this video, the prices have gone down. Now, these two phones have a lot of similarities and differences, and I'm looking forward to going through all of that in this video. Now, the first thing I want to talk about are the displays of these phones. And you can see just side by side that the Galaxy A73 5G is certainly the larger phone of the two. Not only does this phone have a larger body, but it also has a larger display at 6.7 inches versus 6.1 inches with the Pixel 6a. Now, in addition to that, there are a lot of other differences as well when it comes to the displays, including the display technology that's used. So with the Pixel 6a, we have an OLED display which runs at 60 Hz, whereas with the Galaxy A73 5G, we have a Super AMOLED Plus display that runs at 120 Hz. So we do have a faster refresh rate here with the Samsung in comparison. But with that being said, with the Pixel 6a, things do still run very smoothly here. So it's not like the phone feels very laggy or stuttery, considering that it is just 60 Hz. But of course, with that higher refresh rate with the Galaxy A73, it certainly isn't a bad thing to have. So thankfully with both of these phones, we do have very good looking display panels and also excellent viewing angles. Now both phones do feature 1080p displays, however the PPI is different. So with the Pixel 6a, we have a PPI of 429 compared to a PPI of 393 with the Galaxy A73. And then both phones do have 20:9 aspect ratios, so a more narrow but taller form factor, and with the Pixel 6a, we have an 83% screen-to-body ratio compared to an 87% screen-to-body ratio with the Galaxy A73. Now, both of these phones feature similar configurations involving the front-facing cameras, as they are both situated in hole punches, and with the Pixel 6a, we have an 8-megapixel front-facing camera compared to a 32-megapixel front-facing camera with the Galaxy A73. Now, both of these phones are offered in base configurations of 128 gigabytes. However, with the Galaxy A73, we do have microSD card expansion to further expand that storage, whereas we don't get that here with the Pixel 6a. Now, neither of these two phones feature wireless charging, but they do both feature in-display fingerprint sensors. So let's give that a try, starting off with the Pixel 6a. Nice and quick. Let's try that out one more time. So there we go, very accurate. And we'll give this a try now with the Galaxy A73. Very fast. And one more time. Also very fast. So both phones do have very good and accurate in-display fingerprint sensors. However, one difference is that with the Pixel 6a, there is no face unlock, but we do get face unlock with the Samsung Galaxy A73. So at least it's nice that both phones have the in-display fingerprint sensors, but I do like Samsung's approach where we have multiple options. You can use either both at the same time, or you can choose to use one or the other. Now, both of these phones can be accessed with a PIN code as well, but again, I appreciate that Samsung gives us both face unlock and a fingerprint sensor. Now, taking a look at the cameras on the back of these two phones, there are some similarities, but also quite a few differences. So the first difference is that we're getting a lot of extra cameras here with the Galaxy A73 5G. So with this device, we have a 108 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. Compared to the Pixel 6a, we have a dual camera setup on the rear with a 12.2 megapixel main camera and a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. Now, even though we have additional cameras here with the A73, some of these cameras don't really serve that much of a purpose. For example, we have a depth sensing camera to assist with portrait mode, but you can still do portrait mode, and it's really even better with the Pixel 6a, and it doesn't even have that additional camera to assist with that. So that camera really doesn't serve much of a purpose with the A73, at least when it's compared to the 6a, since this phone doesn't even have that camera, but it still has that functionality. And as far as the macro camera goes, that is a nice feature, but I'm not sure if it's really that useful for most people out there. So in general, you're not really losing out on that many camera features if you decide to go for the Pixel 6a. And also, in many ways, you're going to be getting better results anyway with the Pixel. So I would consider cameras to pretty much be a tie with these two devices. Now here's how things look with the main cameras on both phones. Then from here, we can switch over to the ultra wide angle cameras. And you can see that with the Samsung, it does crop out a little bit more, so the photos are a bit wider, which I consider to be a good thing. Then from here, with both phones, we can go over to portrait mode to get those nice blurred out backgrounds. And you can also then flip around to the front-facing cameras as well to take portrait selfies. And if you want to too, you can also crop out a little bit to do a group selfie. So you get that with both of these phones. And then again, with the Samsung, you can go over to the More tab here to access that dedicated macro camera. So you can get very close up with that camera. But again, I feel like with the Pixel, you can crop in if you want to, and it seems to work pretty well if you want to get a close-up photo. So in general, I don't think it's really that big of a deal that we don't have a macro camera with the Pixel 6a. Now, as far as RAM and processors go, with the Google Pixel 6a, we have 6 GB of RAM, and the Galaxy A73 5G is offered, and I think it's based on region as well, but it is offered in 6 or 8 GB of RAM. Now this one, specifically this phone, has 8 gigs of RAM, but again, based on the region, this phone could have 6 GB of RAM instead, so that is worth considering. And then with the processors, with the Pixel 6a, we have the Google Tensor processor, and then we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G 5G processor with the Galaxy A73. So both of these phones do support 5G connectivity, so that's awesome. It's definitely great that you'll be able to use your carrier's latest and greatest networks, so certainly keep that in mind. Now, unfortunately, at the time of recording this video, Geekbench 5, which is my favorite benchmarking test app, is not available for the Pixel 6a, so I can't really compare that score to the Galaxy A73, but overall, from my experience of using both phones, they're pretty similar when it comes to performance. We're certainly getting a pretty solid processor with the Galaxy A73, with it being a Snapdragon 778G. So overall, with both of these phones, I think you're going to be pretty happy with the performance that they provide, and you'll pretty much be able to do anything that you want to do with these phones that you can do on any other smartphone. Maybe the only limitation might be really high performance gaming or video editing, but in general, for 99% of smartphone users out there, I think you're going to be very happy with either of these two handsets. Now, video recording is definitely one thing that is decently different with these two phones. So both phones do support 4K video recording with the rear cameras, but unfortunately, with the front-facing cameras, the Pixel 6a can only take 1080p video. Whereas with the Galaxy A73, we do get 4K video with the front camera, and it does look really good. So I'm not sure if that's important to you or not, but it is something worth keeping in mind, especially if you are considering getting the Pixel 6a. Now, when it comes to battery capacity, with the Pixel 6a, we're getting a 4,410 mAh internal battery, and we're getting a lot larger 5,000 mAh internal battery with the Galaxy A73. Now, in addition to that, we have 18 watt fast charging with the Pixel 6a compared to 25 watt fast charging with the A73. So you can recharge the A73 a lot faster in comparison to the 6a. Now, as far as software goes, both phones do feature Android 12. With the Pixel 6a, we do have the Pixel Experience here, whereas with the Galaxy A73, we have Samsung's One UI 4.1. So if you're very familiar with using Samsung devices, then you'll certainly feel right at home here with this operating system. And with the Pixel 6a, it's definitely very easy to use the operating system here as well, and there's really not much of a learning curve if you are familiar with Android. Now, there is NFC with both of these phones, which is really awesome. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments using Tap and Pay, you can do that here with either handset. But now that I've talked quite a bit about the various features and specifications of these two phones, let's take a closer look at the hardware. Now, both of these phones are made completely out of plastic on the back panels. However, with the Pixel 6a, I feel like this appearance here does look a lot more premium in comparison to the Samsung. But at the same time, I feel like Samsung has done a nice job with the fit and finish here, and I do appreciate that this matte finish on the back of the A73 doesn't really pick up any fingerprints. So I think both phones are really nice looking handsets. However, I think the Pixel 6a certainly looks a lot more unique compared to other phones that you might find out there outside of the Pixel series. Now, taking a look at the left side of both devices, on the Pixel, we just have the slot for the SIM card, and then on the left side of the Galaxy, we have nothing. And then on the right side of both phones, on the Pixel, we have the power button, volume up and volume down, and then on the Samsung, we have volume up and down, and then also the power button. And then on the top of both devices, they both have noise canceling microphones. And then with the Galaxy A73, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. And then on the bottom of these two phones, they both have the microphones, they both have USB-C ports for charging and data transfer, and they both have speakers. And then on the back of the two devices, they both have the camera modules and the flash, and then the logos from the various brands. But I'm definitely curious to know what you think. Do you prefer this glossy finish like we're getting here with the Pixel, or do you prefer this matte finish like we're getting here with the Samsung? So in conclusion, which of these two phones is the better choice? Now, I definitely think that comes down to the price that you'll be paying for these devices, especially considering that Samsung has a reputation for giving their phones really solid discounts throughout the time that the phones are available for sale. So it's really hard to say unless you're comparing the price tags of these phones at what they're currently being offered at. But in general, it does seem like the Galaxy A73 has a lot more features, and I like that it has 4K video recording for the front camera. I also like that it has a larger battery that can recharge at a much faster rate. And I also appreciate that with this phone, we're getting a larger display that is brighter and more clear. We're also getting a faster refresh rate, and we're getting microSD card expansion. I definitely wish we had microSD card expansion with the Pixel 6a. So that certainly is pretty disappointing there. But at the same time, on its own, the Pixel 6a is a great mid-range smartphone. So definitely not a bad choice by any means, and definitely worth considering. I think it definitely comes down to which phone you can get the better deal on. But thanks again for watching. This concludes this video. I will be linking to these two phones in the video description, so definitely make sure to check those out. But this is Kevin here. This is the Google Pixel 6a versus the Samsung Galaxy A73 5G. I'll see you in the next video.